Hello everyone, welcome to the Creative Cove. My name is Michelle and today I thought we could do some more botanical watercolors, this time with some really rich colors. The last video I did, it was a very light, delicate, soft palette. This time I want to work with some darker colors. So here's a couple samples. These are still a bit lighter than what I want to do, but I've been playing. And I think it'll be fun to really pop these colors with some really rich, dark, dramatic colors. If that makes sense at all. I'm really just gonna play here. There's no right or wrong. Some of these will work out, some of them won't. But I've been really enjoying the free flow of watercolors and the real organic look that it gives to the papers and my journals in the end when I use them for tags and things like that. So I thought also I'm going to play with some stamps. So I've recently carved a few stamps here. This one is new. I've uploaded a video on that. And these are very organic as well, little botanical inspirations. So I thought we would throw some of this in and let's see what happens there. They're either gonna add some interest or we're not gonna like them, but there's only one way to find out. So I am just loading some ink. So I'm gonna do a couple where I pre-stamp ahead of the watercolor, and then I'm gonna do a couple where I stamp after. This is my close to my heart ink in the cocoa color, and it's a nice rich color. I'm using my Winsor & Newton portable little watercolor tray here, and I recently just picked up from Michael's a cheapy, relatively cheap, their brand Artist Loft watercolor pad. It is 140 pounds, 30 sheet cold press, so and acid free. So it's not a super high-end quality watercolor paper, which I would normally suggest because if I'm going to spend my money on watercolor, it would be on the paper itself and not so much on the paint or the brushes. But in this case, because I'm really just experimenting and playing, I'm not doing great big masterpieces. I'm just doing tiny little thumbnails that I can go a little cheaper on the paper. So I've got stuff everywhere here. Let's put this guy here. This was really fun to carve. So I'm just gonna do that for now. That's plenty. Cover up my ink. Notorious for leaving my ink open. And I'm going to use that Winsor & Newton colors. I have some Payne's Gray here. I don't have Payne's Gray in this palette. I don't know the names of these colors, but I think I'll know a few as I'm using them because I tend to stick to my color palette that I like. I have added a Payne's Gray because I wanted it to be richer and darker. And we're going to use my trusty gold paint that I got from the Pixies Playground. I love this gold paint. I will link her shop below, her Etsy shop if I can. And if you're interested in a gold paint, this is really quite beautiful. And let's play. So I'm going to just have fun with throwing some color down. So this looks like a cyan blue or something. I'm going to add some of that Payne's Gray to it. Get a really rich color. This is a burnt sienna, I believe. And I'm just gonna throw that on. I'm gonna really wet this. So I have taped little segments. Now this tape is not good tape, I've noticed. It bleeds, which is unfortunate because I really like the crisp white edges, but again, it's just fun. We're just having fun. So that ink that I use doesn't bleed when it gets wet. So that's something you wanna look for as well. You can do the bleeding effect. It looks just as nice. But if you want it to not alter the print at all, then you're gonna find like a ink that does not bleed when it's wet. And that Close to My Heart ink does do that. So it's more of a permanent ink, which is nice. And as you can see, I'm working relatively fast. I have got a big watercolor brush here. I treated myself to a number 12 round. It was like a $30 brush. I usually don't do that because I don't take care of my brushes. But I really wanted to play with a good brush this time and see the effects that a nice, good quality brush has. And it will, because they're like, I guess they're a natural fiber brush, so it absorbs water up the brush when synthetics won't. So here's some, I believe this is, I'm gonna say raw sienna maybe? Raw sienna or burnt, it's not burnt umber is much darker. So I'm gonna say raw sienna on that color, but I could be wrong. And now I'm just gonna dab some of that blue in there. And what I love about these little tiny thumbnails is, one, they're quick, they're very experimental. You get to really play and see how the color reacts and how the watercolor reacts to different colors within your palette, and how it reacts to the paper, how it reacts to the brush. And I'll show you what I mean with these nice watercolor brushes, what a difference they make. So I'm gonna take my brush, I'm gonna dry it, and then I'm gonna go into here, and you can see as it will absorb the paint back up. And you can't do that with, as far as I know, synthetic brushes don't work. You need like a real hair type, horse hair or something, badger hair or something, and it absorbs the paint. So that's another technique you can play with a good quality brush. And it's it's no harm in treating yourself to one or two nice brushes. If you're the kind of person who actually takes care of your brushes, then do it. I would. I don't take care of my brushes, and I'll get upset if I waste that kind of money. But I promised myself I will take care of this brush. Wink, wink. I have to. I can't afford another one. I'm just gonna throw some yellow in here. Don't know, I think it's yellow ochre, but I could be wrong again. Just wanna throw some colors. Just gonna wet the page here. And I move pretty quick, like I said. I like to really play with these. I'm not trying to master anything. I'm not trying to accomplish anything except the darker colors that I want. So as you can see, they dry much, much lighter than when they first go on. So I do like to play with the layers. So I think this is burnt umber going in here with some of this blue and Payne's gray. This is ultramarine blue, I'm pretty sure. And I'll throw that on there. Just dab it in and see what it does. Put some of that over there. I'm gonna add some of that really pretty cyan. I think it's cyan blue, but it might not be. These little travel kit with this Winsor & Newton travel kit came with a little insert, but I've lost it. So now I can't remember the colors. But I'm drawn to browns and blues. It seems to be the look I really enjoy in my journals. And of course, some gold. I'm not a blingy person, but there's just something about gold in watercolor. It just makes me very, very happy. Just gonna absorb some of that and see if it will pool differently. Let's throw some more drama in here. I'm gonna kill off that white paper. More Payne's gray. And just let it drip. See what we get. I mean, so far I've made a few of these and I haven't been disappointed at all. I'm just really, really loving the results and reactions of these paints together, and using my own very own stamps gives me a very unique look that I know no one else is going to have, because I've carved the stamps. I'm going to draw some of the flowers and just have fun making my own creations. And I hope this inspires you. I hope you follow along with me and give it a go. Throw some of that yellow in there, maybe some more of that brown, and now some drama. Awesome. Let's see how those dry. So I love the pooling effect that we got here. It's, you know, you can't really achieve that without using watercolor and watercolor paper. Sorry, I'm gonna have some coffee. I've been running around doing a lot today and I need some coffee. You know, when you're just at that point in the day and you want to call it quits, but you've got more stuff to do and you're like, gonna have a coffee or I'm gonna go crazy. Throw some of that brown in there. I'm gonna let these dry for a bit. I think I'll darken this one. Payne's gray again. Some of that really beautiful bright blue. I'm gonna have to find the name of that blue. But it is like a cyan blue. I'm just gonna pool the water on there and see what happens. Let's keep this guy kind of light, see what difference it makes. And this one too, though I am gonna add a little bit of brown to that, just to keep the palettes kind of neutral here. Some raw sienna, I believe. Or burnt sienna. Could be burnt sienna. A little bit more. Just let that pool in that water for a while. All right. While it's wet, I think what I'm going to do is do some splattering too. So I'm going to load up my nice brand new brush here and just tap it. And because this paper's wet, and these in wherever there's wet water on the page already, these will kind of soften, and wherever it's dry, they will pool and have a more rigid edge to them. So you can splatter at different times while you're painting and it will give you different effects. So I'll do that, and I think I'm going to add the gold while it's wet as well. So my pretty gold here. So just kind of wake it up by adding water and moving my brush around. And then I just kind of, now that you might not be able to see it on the camera from that angle, but when it dries, it adds this really beautiful shimmer because I'm using quite a bit of water with it. So it's nice and translucent. And then I like to do a little bit more of an opaque application after things have dried to really pop this gold. I really hope you can see how shimmery it is. I will, once this dries a little bit, I will move it into some light and show you a little bit more. And I'm already really liking this effect with the stamp underneath. So we'll stamp again. I think the other ones, what we'll do is maybe draw on those, like paint something. Just want to add a little bit more gold here. Just let that pool. So in order to paint something, I do need them relatively dry. Let's see if I can move that without running the paint. I don't know if you can see the shimmer or not yet, but it will show up even more once it's dry. So I just love that effect. All right, let's have another coffee. Yeah, it's already starting to dry. It's so pretty. Okay, let's see. If I don't have any editing software, maybe I will just absorb some of the paint while it's wet so that we can start on doing some of these effects that we like. This will lighten the page, obviously, but it will dry faster. All right, let's do a brush. So I'm back to my junky dollar store brushes. It's still pretty damp, but let's just see. It's still pretty wet. So I'm going to switch to my tiny little brush. So this little guy, this tiny little brush came with this little portable palette, and I really like using it. So I'm gonna do a pretty thin wash look right now because as you can see, the paint is still very wet. I don't want it to bleed too much. I just wanna put in some foliage here. Do some kind of fun grassy, similar to the first stamp we did, which is over there. But what's nice is when it's a little bit wet like this is that it will kind of bleed out a little and look like it's in the background when we put another color over top, which is kind of cool. So maybe do one across like this. And I'm just freehanding, so of course you can sketch these first. You can draw before you even put the paint, or you can wait till it dries and then draw. Totally up to you. It's still pretty wet. Let's maybe play with this and drop some drama in this stamp. And we could add another little bit of a stamp. We'll see if it's dry enough. Even if it's not, let's see what effect it has when it's wet. Maybe it has a whole different look. So I'm just repeating that process with the ink and the stamp here. And what I found is, you know, if you don't like some of the results, some of the thumbnails that you do you're not happy with, you just chop them up and use them in other ways, in scraps. But I think these are going to be quite pretty. Just going to add a little bit of one up there and drop some of that color in, just so there's a kind of a visual coming down on that. All right, so you see how this is kind of spread out. So we'll let that dry a little. Let's try this one, see if it's wet enough. So I'm just going to kind of give myself another little branch. I'm kind of painting against myself here because normally I would turn it like this, but I don't want to disturb it from the camera. So my hand might get in the way and my lines might not be that nice, but that's all right. And maybe another one coming up this way. So nice opaque Payne's Gray on this one. And I find painting these are quite relaxing because there's no pressure to make a perfect watercolor painting. But in my opinion, watercolor painting can be extremely hard medium to work with because it's not a very forgiving medium. Like once the paint is down, it's down. Unlike acrylic where you can wait for it to dry and then change it. But with watercolor, you gotta work with what you've done. And that's why I like these tiny little thumbnails, because I find there's a lot less pressure on myself because I'm not trying to create this extremely time-consuming masterpiece. I'm just having fun with it. All right, how's this guy? I think we'll add a stamp to him. Let's pull some drama out on these stamps. And we're gonna pop those with some gold after, I think, too. Just kind of bring out those textures from those stamps. Just for fun. And then this guy got a little bit lost, but I think we'll pull him out more with the gold on top of that dark blue. Would look quite pretty. So let's go back to some stamping here. And let's use a different stamp. What else have I got? We haven't used this one yet, so we'll use him. And what's nice is, again, you can, once these are dry, you can also use a pen. And if they dry in time, so this video is not hours long, I'll show you how I kind of embellish even further with a pen, because that's fun as well. So throw this down. I really like the ink look on top of these. It's just another texture that I like to add. That's kind of cute. And then I carved this one as well. It's kind of a little mini fern thing. So let's throw some of that in this one. See if we like it. Do a little edge here where it's cut off, just so we had some texture, and it kind of looks like an eco print, you know, which is also fun. So, and then this one, let's paint something in that one. Did I drop my little brush in this group? Yucky paint. There it is. What should we paint in this one? Trying to think plant-wise, like what I do really like this long spindly grass. Maybe we can make it even more grassy looking. Just really pull them nice and long. And then kind of growing off and folding over on themselves. Another one coming up this way. So again, you can use a pencil if this is a little too intimidating to just throw the paint on there, but whatever your comfort level is. And again, just really having fun experimenting. And we call these little experiment thumbnails. And you kind of, develop your skills. You develop kind of familiarity with the paint and how it reacts, more exposure to the process, and then also you're kind of building up a little bit of confidence with when you're throwing paint down, and you're not worried about it being perfect. You're just going to let it do what it does, and then you can either take what you've learned from that and apply it again, or say, okay, I didn't like how it did that, so I won't be doing that again. Does that make sense? Sometimes it's the best way to learn is through mistakes and through experimentation. But you've got to give yourself the kind of leniency to do that without feeling that pressure to make things perfect. Just have fun. So I'm just going to add some splatters of brown now, because why not? And then I'm going to go into my gold. So let's really pop some of these. I'm going to go back to my little guy here. Let's get this gold going. So I'm going to mix it relatively opaque. So I'm not diluting it a lot with water. And I'm going to pop some of these leaves here. So let me try and see where they are on the stamp, the original stamp we did. And I'm really going to pull this gold right out of this one. Let's see what we think of that. So there's some gold on that one. I think we could throw some gold on this one. So again, relatively opaque, but what I like to do is once I've put the gold down, I hit it with a bit of water. And I kind of let it do its thing. So if it runs off the leaf into the background, that's cool. Whatever the paint wants to react is what I'm after, just for fun. I'm gonna throw some more gold down into these corners. And again, saturate it with the water and let the paint do what it wants to do. And I just absolutely love this gold. Kind of fussy on my golds. Some I find too cold. And like I said, you're gonna be drawn to a color palette that works for you. And this gold happens to work really beautifully with this color palette, in my opinion. So let's put some maybe gold on these stems here, just for fun. Just pop those so that when the light hits it, it adds that much more interest. We'll do a little bit on the a couple of the petals here in this plant. I kind of like this one the way it is, but I am going to hit it with some gold and dilute it a bit just to tie them all in together, just to make sure that they're all cohesive in their color palette. And you can never have enough gold, right? I think I'll put a little bit more brown in here too. Warm it up a little bit. Go to my big brush and really bring that brown into a couple places and some gold. So you just play with what you like. Okay, put some gold in this one. So I think we'll pop this one. Maybe this one going across here. The top edge of this one maybe. And again, a little bit more opaque. A little less water on my brush. And I think I'll come back to that one and add some more dark drama to that. Just don't feel there's enough contrast happening for me. This one I think I'm gonna lighten the background a little up top. Just play with this gold a little. Maybe put some on the stems and not the leaves this time. Really wet that. This one I really like, but I'm gonna add just a little bit of gold onto these petals. I really like the softness of that one. This one I think we'll add more gold. Really pop some of these leaves. And then I might add a little bit more of that Payne's Gray to the background of this one too. Just for a little bit more drama. We're going to do a splattering of gold in a minute too. So again, just playing. See, not really worrying about the lines or the color of the paint or anything like that, and just putting what I think I like where I'm going to like it. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Where did we want to play? So I want to make this a little bit more dramatic. So we'll just use the big brush for that. And I'm just going to pop some more of this Payne's Gray in there. And then maybe some in the background. Let it bleed a little and soften the whole thing. Just don't feel like there's enough contrast there. I'll throw some of that really pretty blue back in. All right, and we can pop that with some of this darker splatter. Throw some more of that in. You can never have enough. These are going to be some really cute little accessories and ephemera to a journal. I think it's going to be quite pretty. I hope it gives you some ideas and inspiration on how to have fun with some watercolors and not be too intimidated by them. Okay. All right, let's do some gold splatter. Yeah, really liking this. I'm gonna need more gold. I've been using a lot of it, but I can't get enough of it. All right. So I'm liking that. I'm gonna let that dry for a second. Tidy up a little bit. I think I'm pretty happy with those. Something different. So I'm just gonna clean this out a little before I close it up. Yeah, these travel kits, they're one, affordable, and I've had this for years, so this watercolor lasts a long time. It's expensive, yes, when you initially buy it, for sure, but it is it's a good investment in the sense that if you're gonna actually take up watercolor and really play with it, then sometimes you just want to splurge on the good quality stuff. And I really enjoy that brand. So just, and again, you're just buying a couple of colors, not buying tons of tubes. And you can, it's nice because you can just take it with you. So I made a little book to take mine with me, a little lap book. I'm just gonna dab some of this up for video's sake because it's gonna take too long to dry and I wanna move on to the next step. That's one of my problems is having the patience to let something dry. I'm constantly like, okay, come on, let's do this. What's next? What's next? It's like, no, you gotta let it dry. And then if I don't let it dry, I keep adding stuff like this. Just a little bit more warm in that one. All right, Michelle, that's enough. Walk away. You know what? I think we need more of this color to splatter it anyways. Just feel like this warm color, just warm burnt sienna. What is it called? Raw sienna. I'm gonna have to say it's raw sienna. I don't want to tell you that in case it's wrong. Anyways, it's a beautiful warm caramelly brown. And it's definitely one of my favorites to use. Well, I have it all over my face now. All right, that's enough. Where'd that little brush go? And put that in there before I lose it. All right, I won't wipe my face off. So we're back to being wet again because I can't stop. So I think what I'll do is start peeling anyways while it's wet. So this tape isn't the best, as you can see, it did bleed. But I tell you, this is the funnest part though, is peeling the tape off and revealing these cute, adorable little thumbnails. And then seeing, ooh, all the ephemera I'm gonna build with these, like envelopes and tags. Or just plain gluing them into a page, using them for a cover or whatever it is. Just so much fun. Probably eventually put something like this in my Etsy store. Once I figure out once I set up in my new place, I'll probably figure out how to scan things and load them. But right now I've got too much on the go and I'm really not computer savvy at all. So even just figuring out how to do a quality digital copy is a challenge for me. So it's definitely bled up here. So keep pulling this tape off while it's drying. And then hopefully it'll be dry enough we can do a little sketching on there just to see if you like that part of it. Because some of you will, some of you won't. I also kind of want to move it in the light. I'm hoping you can see the gold a little better. All right, there's our cute little thumbnails. Really liking them. So hopefully you can see them. I'm gonna try and see if you can get the shimmer at all on those. There, I think you can see it there. So pretty. All right. Oh, let's see if we got one that's kind of dry. I'm gonna move this water out of the way before I knock it over. It's pretty dry. So I have my micron here. What have I got? It looks like a 0.8. It's worn off, but it's a fatter nub out of the microns. What else do I have? That's too skinny. All right, let's try that. So you do need it dry. And all I'm gonna do, zoom you down on this one. Hopefully that helps. And you'll be able to see where it's wet, it won't mark. But I just like to pull out, yeah, it's still pretty wet. Pull out some it's too wet. Come on, dry. See, no patience. I just like to try and pull out some details. I don't think it's actually the paper. I think it's actually the pen. I don't know if I have a micron here. This one's really thin and old, so I don't know if it's gonna work either. No, I don't think so. Oh well, we'll scribble with this. And so I'm just gonna pull out some details that we've painted. And just have some really, throw some kind of whimsy into it. And again, you don't have to do this part, but I do like to add this layer of texture to my drawings. And I don't stress about them being perfect. And you can add things too, like you can add little seed bits and add little whimsical details. Just have fun. And all these pretty layers and that shimmering gold. So there's that one. And let's see here. Let's add some to this one. Sorry, I'm gonna move the camera a little bit. Hopefully it's lined up and dry enough. And you can just pull the stem with even more detail. So even with the same color palette, so this one obviously doesn't have the blue in it, but it's still cohesive with the rest of it because it's just got that gold and the stamps, and the color palette is still there. And it's just a whole other different look. Put a little signature on that. These are a bit wet, so I don't want to ruin my pen, but I think you get it. You get the idea. We'll go back to up here, and I'll see if I can pull it out enough that the shimmer really picks up. So really see that beautiful gold effect and all the details. I'll just move it around for us. So we'll start up there and just kind of move the cross so you can really appreciate all the little efforts that we did and the beautiful effect it has. And then you can just simply cut these into tags. You can do whatever you want with them. And you can see I've been busy playing because I just love the look. So here's one of the more simpler ones without as much drama. So you can see the difference. Very dramatic, subtle. So, but the same procedure, just different colors and a softer look or more of a contrast is really the difference. So just having fun. And then again, just turning them into little tags for your journals. So I hope that gave you some ideas. I hope it gave you some inspiration. I'd love to see you back. I hope you enjoy these videos, and please feel free to leave any suggestions on things you would like to see, and any comments whatsoever would be appreciated. And hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon, everyone. All right, take care. Bye.